Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. I'm, of course, Nick McDaniel, and as always, I am joined by my buddy Myron.
Hello, folks. Sad news. Sometimes being a week behind, we don't always get all the news out as fast as possible. But great wrestling personality, uh, father to so many people in the business, both genetically and spiritually. Jarrett has passed away.
Yeah, man, we hate starting episodes off on somber notes like this. We try to be fun. We try to entertain. And it's weird to think about some things like we were at Southern Fried, which we'll discuss a little later. Bill Behrens did a tremendous tribute to Jarrett at that show, and talked about how the branches off of the tree sometimes, in a wrestling family, wrestling world, how far reaching they go. Obviously we want the immediate is, Jeff's dad. And by the way, it's funny, we didn't appreciate Jeff as much probably growing up. Conrad always jokes about he was the human fast forward button and, things like that. And now to listen to his podcast and, a lot of it, we've grown to appreciate him so much more over the last couple of years. But then you think about it, it's when I watched that intro, the TV, like that's the TV, like I would watch Memphis wrestling on back in the day here in Atlanta, that old, the knobby TV, kind of thing. But just, then you hear people like Road Dogg, paying tribute to him. I listened to Mick Foley's podcast, and you don't even think about, he's like, Jarrett gave me my first real break in Memphis. And then he would send him off to world class USWA, because he believed in him. And you're like, oh man, you're right. And you think about the Undertaker going through, Memphis and, Godfather, Papa Shango, The Rock. I mean, on and on and on. And listen, I get it. I'm not going to go down negative town here, but Memphis wrestling, sometimes doesn't get its just due from a lot of people, but it was really we loved Memphis wrestling.
If not, you say Memphis wrestling as a place, it's a genre. Memphis wrestling is more than just a location where they held wrestling. Memphis wrestling influenced so much. I mean, even the wrestling I saw in Birmingham was very Memphis oriented.
Very, very.
And I got the pleasure of interviewing Jarrett one time for the show when they were him and Rock Parsons were launching a streaming network. And the hospitality that man showed me when we were just interviewing him to help them with the launching of their network was amazing. And I'm just some fat guy in his basement, recording podcasts and streaming stuff. And I felt like I was, a Gorilla Monsoon or somebody at Turner Broadcasting.
It is one of those things, and it's funny. And I say this, you can see it as a learned lesson in Jeff, because Jeff's very much this way, or has been. I've only had the pleasure of meeting Jeff a couple times, but always respectful. Doesn't, and Mick Foley really wanted to, hit that home on his show where he was, years later, even, his, Mr. Jarrett being respectful to him. And, it's just he's like, this is like somebody that's who he is, but yet still to be respectful to other people, and treat
I've
them
seen
well.
Jeff act like you're one of his closest friends every time you talk to him.
It's weird.
He
doesn't, and by the way, for the record, he probably doesn't know me for Adam, but he's like, I
but
recognize
it doesn't
shirt,
matter. He
but
acknowledges you and he talks to you like he's known you since childhood. It's impressive.
Yeah.
And I can't remember somebody I met yesterday, but wow, it's something to be seen. And it's that old school, old fashioned thing that I don't know who's still going to be able to carry that on in the business. And it's that part of the business that's so golden that me and you love still.
Yeah.
And I know there's older guys that still hold on to it as it's so special. And I'm going to miss the Mr. Jarrett and I'm gonna miss his influence in the business. I didn't even know he was sick. I found out he was sick one day, and then found out he had passed away the next. I didn't even know. I thought it was a mistake.
Well, they addressed it on Jeff's podcast, that
Yeah.
he was sick one week, and then, like you said, yeah, it was. So it's kind of probably one of those things that kept hush hush. But
Yeah.
I'll look. You brought up the interview, and I will probably try to, because it's an old audio episode. It was pre-video,
Yeah.
so there was no video. I'll put it up on YouTube. Something like
I'm
that.
sure.
Yeah.
I guarantee he made me look a lot better than I am at interviews.
He carried you, for sure.
Yeah, he carried me most likely.
So just over look on YouTube. I'll get it up this week. I'll try to share it on Twitter and Facebook and all the social media stuff. I'll try to get that stuff shared out. But just on look, go to YouTube. I'm not going to plug this week. It's just Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. Check it out over on our YouTube channel. You search us, you'll find it. It'll be fine or whatever. And like, look, I mean, if there is no Jerry, the people like Jarrett who were willing to work with us in the beginning, like, we're not there now, right? We're not still doing this. Probably we're still in, growing and growing and growing. So
yeah, I mean, look, Terry Lawler. I mean, it wouldn't have been for that kind of those people. It wouldn't be a Terry Lawler. Wouldn't be a Terry Lawler. It wouldn't be a Tapped Out podcast. We'd have given up on this a long time ago.
Could have been.
And people that nurtured us, and we kept going. And I don't ever, I typically would toot our own horn. I hate to toot our own horn in such a solemn time, but dude, we just hit 1 million views on YouTube. How insane is that? And it's through people that gave us such great opportunities that we were able to do stuff like that. Charles Anshoes. We just talked about him the other day. The guy, founder of Southern Fried. And David Manders and some of the other guys that have put us in such great positions.
Let's in a positive way here, because I don't want to look. Yeah, it was funny. We talked about it 2 weeks ago because we knew we were getting close to that 1 million view mark.
Yeah.
And honestly, there was so much going on last week that we had hit it, and I forgot. Like, literally, that's crazy to even think. Like, we had just broken, and I was like, oh, it just kind of, we were so,
Dude, I was jazzing on that pay-per-view. Jesus Christ.
Yeah. And then last week, or this week, you brought it up again, and you're like, yeah. And I was like, yeah, we did.
I want to tell people.
I'm
proud of that.
But and we are. But like you said, man, it's look, there's so many names now. That's the crazy thing. When we go back and look at 1 million views on YouTube, I mean, like, the thing was, when we were audio only, I think that kind of laid the foundation, because we started working with, and it's a lot, like you said, Terry Lawler. Listen, I mean, Jarrett, like, interviewing Jarrett, gives you a credibility that's like, now people are like, oh, we'll work with him. Then it was, we worked with Tommy Rich, and we worked with, and it's like, oh, and it progressively, like, we were doing local indie talents as well. Then it was regional indie talents. Look, and I won't, I'm not remiss in saying, like, Lewis, from, his podcast, helping and contributing, and, listen, there were guys along the way, man. That's Nathan Littman, who I'm going to bring up later, by the way. I'm going to bring him up later.
Got to give that man some credit later on.
Yeah,
definitely.
there's listen, it was funny that he came up and, like, Nathan, I know you're listening, buddy. You came up in the car last night. We were driving to a show, and you came up, and I'll tell you, and if you stick around, you'll hear why. Anyway, but look, it is not wasted on us that, what it takes to, get to where, the goals and the achievements that we've made, and that's, but listen, it's fans. It's not just, that's the funny thing. It's the talents that we're working with, that'll work with us and talk with us and that kind of stuff. It's the fans who listen, and the people that listen, our friends, all that kind of stuff. I got to throw it in here because the YouTube thing happened too because of sponsors. I mean, that literally, like, the sponsors came on board really well when we were doing the YouTube, and look, day one. Who's been there since, it seems like, day one and still riding?
Oh, yeah. These people have been a joy to work with.
Yeah. Athletic Greens,
and
man.
have made me feel so much better in some of my health troubles. They have done so much for me as a person and my health.
Yep.
So our friends at
Athletic Greens, man.
Greens.
You're going to need a smaller cabinet, because now you can take all those supplements you're taking or not taking and replace them with this. AG1 by Athletic Greens brings 75 vitamins, minerals, whole food sourced ingredients, probiotics, and adaptogens together in one place. It might just be the most comprehensive and convenient nutritional regimen on the planet. Immunity supporting, recovery enhancing, digestion improving, energy lifting. Made to the strictest quality standards. Made New Zealand. Made for just about everybody.
That's right, man.
Tabasco.
Athletic Greens, man. Look, trying to get healthy. Look, I'm back on my kick. I did really well for like a great chunk of 2022. The wheels came off the train in the holiday season, and I'm like, the wife and I had a long conversation. We're like, we're back on Athletic Greens. We're back on our plant. We're gonna get this back on the track and do good. So.
Do not add Tabasco in vodka. That's where I was going wrong.
Exactly. That could be a problem.
Because I've got to lose weight. Because I've been looking at Ted lately. And see, Ted, I bought these pistons. I'm working. This is for my micro scale. I'm making a chair. Have you seen Ted's hammock chair that he sits in? I've got to get one, but I got to get one that lifts me out of it.
You need like hydraulics and stuff like that.
I've got my hydraulic pistons. These are the small ones.
Yeah.
I got to get really big ones to lift, because that hammock, you know, that thing looks comfortable, Nick.
Yeah.
Ted just sits in that hydraulic chair at wrestling and sways back and forth and enjoys himself.
You mean Max's dad?
Max's dad, yes.
Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
Max dances. I'm going to get Max and Mooney to have a dance off. Now, folks, if you don't understand what I'm talking about, you clearly have never been to Southern Fried Championship Wrestling.
Yeah.
It's something I recommend to everybody. I don't even care where. If you're in Minnesota, go to your local independent wrestling show. If you're in Alaska, I'm sure somewhere you can get on a snowmobile and find an independent wrestling show and go. Ted won't be there. Southern Fried shirt he's got on right there.
Yeah, I'm doing
my great friend David Manders.
I'm doing a crazy mix today with a Southern Honor hat, because I had to wear a hat, by the way. Long story.
I got
little hair. What little hair I have was a mess. But anyway,
all my hair's on my face right now because I can't find my razor blades, and like I'm not saying I'm not working. I'm out on sick leave still.
Yeah.
But
hey, do you want to talk about Southern Fried first? I know there was a big pay-per-view last night. Let's talk about Southern Fried.
We'll get to Southern Fried first, because I picked Southern Fried over going to the pay-per-view. Here's the thing: the pay-per-view will last. I know that pay-per-view is a big deal. I don't get a Southern Fried. I can get a Southern Fried replay on YouTube, but I can go and experience it in front of all those people in that building and have fun.
And just for the record, Myron, I do want to cut you off here, because the experience is more than anything. It's not about just watching it. Local indie wrestling is an experience. Now, again, if you're in Minnesota, you can follow them on the Southern Fried Fan Club, or Southern Fried, YouTube channel, and watch the show. Absolutely. But my point being, you need to experience if you're remotely close. That's what it's all about. Because, by the way, let's come out right out of firing on this one. I actually had to say to somebody, like, wait a minute. You mean you got to think 3 or 4 shows down the road to have good good storytelling and good booking?
You was talking to the Wizard. You were talking to the Wizard. Todd Sexton should wear a robe with big sleeves and one of those giant hats.
He's behind the curtain. That's it. He's behind the curtain pulling the strings. That's he's storyteller 101. And listen, Myron, look, we had a conversation in the car on the way home. As good as that booking is and the storytelling he has, look, I'm not going to poo-poo the big one. We'll leave that for later. But I don't know. Ring of Honor, NWA, Impact. Somebody want to... You can find them on social media.
Hunter?
You want to give that dude a stuff?
Kelly and Todd Wiley, as it is.
Listen,
Hunter,
I know they like to live up in the mountains, up in the country, but I don't think they'd mind moving to Orlando if there was a job involved.
They might actually move up there to Connecticut if it got real.
I don't know about that one. That's a big ask. I don't know.
But I mean, I'd hate to lose them. That's the thing.
Yeah.
I'd hate to lose my friends Kelly and Todd Wiley, because Todd got hired by the E, because Todd is on a roll again, Booker of the Year again in Georgia. I mean, Todd's got it going on, and the shows are so good, and his twists and turns. Oh, man. Great show. That 6-man tag was a lot of fun. I got to see people I don't normally see.
Yeah.
Okay, that Stevie Frost and what was the other guy's name? The karate guy?
Watley. That's Brandon Watley.
Watley. Don't get to see Brandon Watley on a regular basis. That was cool. I got something out of Jaden Vane I hadn't gotten before. He looked really good. He was with two really, really hard guys, you know, Strychnine and Keitel, some hard asses. And he went real well with them. Brawlers. I had fun. I had fun with the whole show. And then you find out they're going to do an all-women's show prior to Shindig.
Yep.
Now, that was one of Charles's last wishes. He did one. We pseudo helped out. I got Leva Bates from the airport. You know, we put her in that hotel over there in Gwinnett, and we gave her a ride to and from the show. And then I took her back to the airport. Or did I take her back? I can't remember. It's been a long time ago.
I think you did. I think you did. It's been like 5 years, 4 or 5 years.
Oh, it's been it was right after Charles Manschutz passed away.
Yeah.
Put on a women's show. God, it was. I mean, he had a lot of. When you think about the card on that show, I'll have to pull it up to look at it. There was a phenomenal amount of women's talent on that show.
I will tell you was that the first time we saw Danny Jordan in person?
Yes, that was the first time we saw Danny Jordan in person.
We need to
Danny,
find that
I have
card.
not forgot about you. I promise. Because I don't tend. This is going to sound. Actually, this is me not being creepy. I don't tend to contact women's wrestlers outside of wrestling shows unless I have like business for them, interviews or stuff like that. So I don't like follow up or stalk them because I'm a happily, normal man with a woman. And also I don't want to make them uncomfortable. So I don't follow them around and, send them messages and stuff.
I always like to tell them it's because we're fathers.
Yes, we got girl daughters. So
their age. I have daughters their age most of the time. You're not quite there, but I mean, I do. Well, anyway,
my daughter's fixing to turn 20.
Yeah.
So I'm not a creep. So I don't really try to creep them out. But the thing is, Danny was somebody we followed in the business for quite some time. And she wrestled. I remember that show. I'm like, God, she's horrible. And then she went on to be Georgia Women's Wrestler of the Year for time after time after time. Yeah. I miss her a lot. I can't wait to see her get back if she's going to come back. And I hope she's able to come back and work that show.
If I'm a betting man, which we know I am from time to time, I would say she's gonna, and I'd say she's gonna have an impact. Like she's gonna be a player again. So that's just
impact.
It's not at impact. She's going to have an impact.
Hey, she's great.
Yeah, she's great.
Love her to death. Love her to death. So I'm looking forward to that. Guy, I'm excited. I love Shindig. It's a great show. It's always a big deal.
But Byron, you got to stop some in between. March 18th, the Monroe Massacre. They got a big card coming. We're going to see all kinds of stuff.
So
championship matches, 2 cage matches. Well, we're going to go
2 cage matches.
Yeah.
Holy shit! I love a cage. Only thing better than a WWE cage match is a cage match down in the South where it's going to be brutal.
Yeah, where it's actually going to be a cage match.
And people are gonna bleed.
Yeah.
And it's gonna, because I'm not an AEW fan where you're like, goddamn, John Moxley's gonna bleed again. Has a TV on, John Moxley's gonna bleed. AEW, I am a certified immunizer anywhere in the world. I am not working due to my seizure problems right now. But I can, if you need to, you can hire me. I can come vaccinate your staff against whatever John Moxley has.
He doesn't have anything.
I'm sure John Moxley has something.
Clean. He wouldn't be wrestling otherwise.
I'm sure he has something. So hire me to vaccinate your staff and your talent against what I can keep you from getting something or anybody.
Myron,
I can give shots.
I'm going to give an uncomfortable segue. But speaking of getting something, at that Monroe Massacre show, Happy Madness has an opportunity to get back their titles from JBE, Hunter James, Xavier Reyes.
Much better than a bloodborne pathogen.
That is true. I'd rather get my titles back. I agree. Southern Fried is really clicking on all cylinders.
Yeah.
Storytelling wise, that are, they're just clicking on. So again, if you're in Georgia, go check them out. If you are by chance, hey, well, I'm in Ohio, they have a YouTube channel. Check out.
There's a woman in Germany that watches it.
Yeah.
There is a Southern Fried fan in Germany that watches all their shows.
Yep. The power of YouTube, man. The power of YouTube and the internet. I agree 100%. Hey, look, we didn't get to go. We wouldn't be doing justice for local Georgia wrestling here if we don't say congrats to Classic City Wrestling up in Athens.
Yes.
Had a packed house of 400. That's per Rob Rod. I'm taking his word for it. He was there.
I trust Rob Rod.
Yeah. 100%. But I'm saying, like, that's what we hear.
Lies sometimes.
Well, anyway, I don't want to go that way.
But not about wrestling.
Not about wrestling, no. But yeah, so.
He's a damn liar about other stuff, though.
Could be.
Yeah.
But, congrats to those guys. We're going to see, like, hey, are they going to – I'd love to get out, but I'm like, are they going to run more? Are they going to do once a quarter?
I want to go see are they not going to run over the summer?
I'm not sure. That's what I said. Look, we've ran into those guys a couple times. Next time we run into them, I'm gonna ask them to try to get their schedule for the year to what they're looking at doing.
I'll make a weekend of that. Maybe get the wife to go
to Athens.
Yeah, I mean, I went to pharmacy school there.
I know.
I love the place.
Yeah.
I want to ring the bell.
Town. Ding. Yeah, exactly.
Ring my bell.
All right. Well, let's get into what everybody wants to talk about, Myron. We are literally recording less than 13 hours after I watched Elimination Chamber. I watched it when I got home from Southern Fried.
It's less than 9 since I watched it. I went to bed at 3:00 last night because I got home and
started watching.
No. I got home and I went downstairs to watch it and it was still on. And then there was the delay because the press conference. And I said, why would I watch a wrestling press conference? But you, Nick McDaniel, said it was a good thing. Tell me about it.
Look, WWE does it very, very well. They do these press conferences very well. Look, I won't hide it. I think it could be a slight on AEW that they're doing them now to try to kind of stop. They could be just, like it could be like a little backhand to the AEW because they're like, hey, this is how you do them. They're super controlled. They're done they're done really well. And they put the best people out there to handle them, I guess. But whatever. Stop. Myron's got a runny nose, folks, in case you hadn't figured it out.
You reckon on the snowman?
No, I'm not. But listen, by the way, I'm getting there. We're going to address that. You know what? The hell with it. Let's talk about it now because maybe we're going to end on a great note of Elimination Chamber at that point. We'll end on that. So if you want to hear the Elimination Chamber talk, it's going to be after this.
Just give me a minute.
Momentum is a dangerous thing. And listen, this is a wrestling occupational career life lesson, what I mean by and I'm going to bring it to you, Myron. I'm going to bring it home to you, and I'm going to hit I'm going to hit a nerve with Myron, y'all. If you want to hit, I'm going to really strike a nerve here in a minute. What I mean by momentum is good and bad. Let's not go back too far in the distant past when AEW had all of the momentum. They couldn't do anything wrong. Everybody was on board and and the WWE couldn't catch a break. Everybody
wasn't worth watching.
It was bad. It was terrible. By the way, I would still argue that it wasn't as bad as everybody said it was.
No, but it wasn't that good.
Yeah. Well, here's the argument. I could argue that it's not as good as everybody's saying it is now. Not that that's a bad thing. Hold on. Let me finish. What I mean is now, once things like steamroll and momentum's the word we like to use, but I always say things steamroll. This happens in your job. When shit gets bad, it can get bad, worse, and it just keeps compounding. When things when things are great, man, boo. Look, my job's a sales job. It just feels like when you hit a dry spell, and anybody that's in the commission game knows when you hit a dry spell, sometimes you press, sometimes you make, and shit, it's worse and it's worse. But, dude, when it starts clicking and you're on a roll, it just seems like, dude, you're just clicking. Wrestling's the same thing. Boom, boom, boom. This Bloodline story. We had somebody, somebody who writes, right? Somebody who knows wrestling. It's like the Sami Zayn Roman Reigns story. It's the B story to the A story, which is the Bloodline. Is probably the best B story they've had. Would you argue since in 20 plus years?
I would say so. Probably.
It's hotter than anything they've done in probably on the B story. The A story, by the way, the Bloodline story, I have made the case for that it's the best, A story they've had in probably 10, 15, 20 years. It's great. It's
got me paying attention. It's got me paying attention to guys I never thought I'd pay attention to. I never thought I'd pay attention to Roman Reigns and the Usos. Okay?
Here is where, by the way, in the car, I'm going to insert what we talked about earlier. Nathan Littman, give him his flowers, because we were in the car and I don't know if you regularly watch / listen. A few weeks ago, I made the comment where you're like, "Oh, where was this Roman Reigns at 2 years ago?" Blah blah blah, and I was like, "No, they're shoving him down your throat now. They were shoving him down your throat then. You've just liked the taste of him now." Nathan Littman, 3-4 years ago, by the way. Could be that long ago, was already repping the merch of one Roman Reigns, was telling us how great he was. He was, what did you call him? He was an early adopter of Roman Reigns.
Early adopter. Wasn't he buying the shit and giving it to little kids?
He was buying it, giving it away up from the show. We were doing contests, and he was giving it away and shipping it to people. Yeah, exactly. And so our point was, and I said, it took me a little bit, and then I was like, "No, yeah, he's right. He is." And I've watched it enough to I've picked up, and he's good. It took people another couple years. So shout out to Nathan Littman for being an early adopter of one Roman Reigns and being right all along. Now I will. You got to give the
man his credit.
But hey, look, I'm going to go beyond that though and say, I'm not saying Roman ain't better now than he was, because he is. Like the character development and the everything, he was good in the ring then. I mean, people want to argue all they want. I just think now he's taken it up a notch in as far as his character and the development, and that's why they're clicking on all cylinders. However, the point being, and now we're going to switch back. We're going to hodgepodge, bounce back and forth here. AEW has given the world what they claimed they wanted.
Yeah.
MJF is the AEW World Champion. Yes. By the way, I still think that's a great move. But what?
I think anything with MJF is a great move.
Hey, I'm about to do something you didn't see coming on the show.
Oh, no. Swerve!
Last night, everybody, we're going to address what happened, but was like, Sami should win. He's so hot. And what did I say? The biggest key to that, the biggest obstacle to that is, but then what? That's the downfall of MJF right now. Because, look, and it's not his fault. I think MJF should be the AEW champion. Lots of stuff happened. We're not going down that rabbit hole of, why things probably didn't end up going the way they wanted them to, right? However, they have not. I think they're trying to right that ship and get it, I think the Bryan Danielson angle story, whatever you want to call it, has the opportunity to turn that ship around and get it back on track. But the fans aren't, the fans just aren't the masses. Let's back up. The masses. MJF, everybody I think assumed they'll put the title on Punk. MJF will beat Punk. He'll become, and by the way, none of that worked out because of all the shit that went sideways. But MJF, I honestly, if you would have told me a year ago, I would have thought possibly MJF would be the guy who would break that million ceiling and start dragging them up and just literally pulling them to 1-1s, 1-2s, and start climbing. And it just hasn't happened. You know why?
Does Tony Khan have kids? Go ahead.
Momentum. I honestly believe when Triple H took leadership and WWE started clicking on all cylinders, it literally was a fucking stiff arm to the momentum AEW had, and all of a sudden, that train started rolling. That engine that big train of WWE, and dude, it's going to take a lot to stop that train. A lot. And I don't know what it is. AEW has that can do it.
Can I opine?
Opine.
I'm gonna opine. Very rich men, Tony Khan and Triple H. Triple H did not grow up rich. Tony Khan did. Tony Khan, does he have kids?
I don't know.
Has he ever known
Listen,
the woman's embrace?
Dude, when you got that kind of money, man, it's just dripping. Go ahead.
Okay.
I can imagine anyway.
What's dripping? I mean, you might have to specify.
No, it's always.
Because if his wiener's dripping, he might need one of those John Moxley shots.
Yeah,
I can give those too, providing with the right documentation.
Yeah.
But what I'm trying to say is, you have children. I have children. I've made the mistake of giving my daughter everything she wanted for Christmas. And there's a what then? What then? Tony Khan gives the fans everything they want right away. I give you Kenny McFinger Bang. I give you CM Punk. I'm going to give you the Young Bucks. I'm going to give you this. I'm going to give you that. And the fans are like, that's great. And then what? That's great. And then what? And Triple H gives it just a little bit, he got kids. He give them all but 4 of the action figures in the set.
I want to ask you something.
You don't get Grunt, Scarlett, or Duke. Okay? You won't Grunt, Scarlett, and Duke every time you go to Walmart. So you want to go to Walmart so you can get those figures. So you're going to want to tune in again to see what's going on. You got Grunt. If you're AEW fans, you got Grunt, Scarlett, and Duke all on your roster already. You can sit and play with them. You don't need to tune in for more. You don't need to go to Walmart to get to the thing. They've given the fans everything they want. The fans don't need it anymore. You got to make them want more.
Is that, by the way, I asked you this off air, and I want to ask it because I want people to let us know. tappedoutpod@gmail.com. Do you think the storytelling that's happening and everything clicking, to me, a lot of people were like, Vince will be back taking over creative. They said no. Look, Vince, and then we're not going to ask rabbit hole this week. We're going to address the sale stuff another week. Vince is too busy trying to get $9 billion. Vince, I don't know how much he's really involved in creative, because what I said, when I point at WWE TV right now, is it too much TV? Yes, there's not a whole lot they can do about that, because they are literally having to just serve USA and Fox, all that content, so that they can't change. However, the quality and the storytelling, to me, is living proof Triple H is heading creative, because it looks a whole lot more like the great NXT run that he had. Storytelling, and I think he's got more people helping. Obviously, he's got his friends helping, and I think that's where everything's proof. Triple H is running
D-Generation.
So
Billy Gunn's the only person. Billy Gunn and Xbox in China are the only.
By the way, 2 of the best things going in AEW involve Billy Gunn, the Acclaimed, who he manages, and his sons. So think about that. Who would have thunk that at one point? Now, all this being said, I want to come back to our point. I don't think, by the way, AEW is like, I know a lot of people are just down on it, and I think it's just, but that's the wrestling world we've discussed in the past. We always want to be, it's like everything's bigger, everything's worse, everything's better than it really is. I just think it's becoming the more in thing to do to crap on them and back AEW, or back WWE. Sorry, I misspoke.
Oh, it'll switch. It'll switch. It's a thing. The green shirt guy will go back to AEW. He'll be like, green shirt guy. You'll see him. He can't go to all the pay-per-views. Green shirt guys at WWE. It'll switch back and forth. When whoever's the hottest, the fans will love. Momentum will shift.
Okay, I have bad news.
What's that?
The momentum conversation we're having that will kind of thread throughout the show, apparently, is because the question is Tony Khan the head of the table at creative? Is he becoming the Vince McMahon of AEW. And listen, hear me out, because I want you to respond and let me know, tappedoutpod@gmail.com, people. If it's, a lot of people love the single vision and the head, but if it's only his vision, and I don't know, by the way, I'm going to ask somebody. I got somebody I really want to have a conversation with. I won't get an answer, by the way. So trust me, so I won't get the answer. But my point being is, if you only are delivering the product you want to deliver, that becomes dangerous. If you're putting out the product you want to see, you're going to a specific target audience. And it's, can you get, and by the way, this was, I wanted to ask wrestlers this. If you only project your vision of wrestling, do you alienate a piece of that audience that's what prevents you from crossing a threshold? You're like, we're catering to this, we're only going to do this. Whereas the bad parts that people don't like about WWE, sometimes it's like, well, it's kind of homogenized, it's kind of watered down. It's because they're appealing to the masses.
Yeah.
Over and over and over, and eventually, wham, they get lucky and the story hits. Bloodline, off to the races. And that one storyline, by the way, a lot of people go, the glory days of Attitude Era, everything mattered. It does, but what do people really talk about? Austin McMahon. Austin McMahon it was the engine of that train that drug it along, and then everything else mattered along the way. But that one piece drug the company to the top, in my opinion. I could be wrong. Probably am.
Well, the thing is, if Tony Khan's the only person making decisions, if you ran a restaurant, Nick, if you owned a restaurant and you could cook, what would you serve at your restaurant?
Oh, yeah, I know where you're going. I'm only going to cook food I like.
Well,
that don't work.
I mean, me and you like similar stuff.
Yeah.
I hang around with you enough to know that. But Melissa don't want to eat the shit you eat.
Mm-mm.
She ain't gonna eat the shit I eat on a regular basis. She wants vegetables and stuff occasionally.
Myron likes,
and I don't like
Indy show hot dogs, so I mean,
I'll eat Indy show hot dogs. Like, can I get a sausage biscuit somewhere? A cup of coffee? Can I get a sausage biscuit? Well, we don't have sausage biscuits. We have eggs Benedict. Well, I don't want eggs Benedict. I'm at a restaurant. All they got is eggs Benedict. Well, I'm going to turn over to the place that's got. They may not have the best sausage biscuits, but they got sausage biscuits and egg McMuffin. That's why McDonald's has a big ass menu. None of it's good,
yeah,
but they got a lot of different shit on there. Like last night, your wife went to Popeyes. They was out of chicken sandwiches. You know what the Popeyes has? They only sell fucking chicken sandwiches, and they was out of them. So you know what you got? You got dick.
Yeah.
Okay, they had fish sandwiches. Nobody uses Popeyes for the fish sandwiches. Yeah. You got chicken strips.
Yeah.
You wanted a fucking chicken sandwich.
Right.
So you was disappointed. Yeah. You turned on Wednesday night, you turned on AEW, and there was no chicken sandwiches. So you was disappointed.
They were serving
That's the thing.
They were serving up indie wrestling eggs Benedict.
Exactly.
It was beautiful. It got 5 stars.
I'm surprised. It was great. If you were the guy that tuned in for eggs effing Benedict, you was the happiest man on earth. But if you wanted a sausage biscuit, you was out of luck.
Yeah.
And wrestling fans are there's 2 groups of wrestling fans. There's the sausage biscuit people like me and Max.
Listen, there's McDonald's. You were bluntly honest. WWE is McDonald's. AEW is Jay Christopher's. We had this conversation in the car.
Exactly. Yes.
Everybody will find something to eat. You won't talk about it's the greatest thing on the planet. Oh.
It'll make a turd.
No, hold on. McDonald's, everybody's going to find something on that menu they want. I go to Jay Christopher. What did we tell you? I'm ordering shit I could get at Waffle House.
Exactly. I went to this fancy breakfast place yesterday. We spent $50 on breakfast. I got something I could have got at Waffle House.
Yeah.
And they would have done it better. And I wouldn't have got I had to say, please, no Brussels sprouts with my scrambled eggs and sausage. Who the hell puts Brussels sprouts with scrambled eggs and sausage? At Waffle House, would they have put Brussels sprouts in that? Hell no.
Yeah.
And they'd have put it, they'd have been cheese in my eggs.
Yeah.
Okay. And then Melissa wouldn't have got mad at Waffle House if I'd have flicked those mushrooms out on the counter. She wouldn't have said nothing. Just because I flicked mushrooms on the counter at this fancy place, she goes, you heathen. What the hell's wrong with you? You're flipping mushrooms everywhere. Well, goddamn.
Well, hey, listen,
I flip mushrooms.
Myron, speaking of mushrooms.
Sorry.
That's okay.
I
digress.
digress.
I'm going to rein him in. I'm going to rein him back in.
I can do this stuff all day long, people.
Two things we still got to have a conversation about. One, I told you Elimination Chamber conversation's coming, but you got to stick around to the end for it. Kenny Omega, rumors are to WWE. Me and you in the car disagreed last night about should it even happen. You were like, what?
Why? You got it going right now. Why? One, why? Why add? Okay. Why add? Did he help AEW?
Yes.
No. Does anyone know who he is outside of the people eating at Jay Christopher's? No. Can he sell a sandwich at McDonald's? No.
Byron?
Okay.
You know how you always talk about Nick likes to walk you to a place to get you to
walk me to Kenny McDonald versus Brock Lesnar.
Okay.
Okay.
Now I don't have to do that. We just had a conversation about why the WWE is so good. It's because they have something for everybody. One of the things that they need the extra little oomph on is they got 2 hours of SmackDown, 3 hours of Raw. There ain't nothing go. By the way, Nick doesn't fantasy book often, but I will tell you this. Why Kenny Omega does need to go to WWE from the WWE perspective, by the way. Kenny can do whatever the hell Kenny wants to do. Kenny should take the most money and what's best for him long term. That's my take. From WWE perspective, you would then have one of the most internet wrestling community stories that you could run with. Because you would then have, by the way, Finn Balor, Kenny Omega, Cody Rhodes, and AJ Styles, by the way.
Need that.
No.
Don't need that.
They don't need it, but how cool. Don't tell me AJ, and I'm going to have to run it in an angle here, by the way. Finn Balor started the Bullet Club. Oh, by the way, you've got Gallows and Anderson there too, by the way, to go into this puzzle. By the way, you have Shinsuke Nakamura, who has that New Japan ties. But
Where is he?
Dude, you got to watch more. He's there. But listen.
I watch every minute.
If I told you, if you don't think Triple H could make a phone call to New Japan and work some shit out, where they already talk about the Bullet Club as it is, you would have 3 of the leaders there, and you've got a story about fighting amongst all of this mess about who's really Bullet Club, who's the who's the OC, who's this, who's that, Shinsuke tied in. You don't think the internet would lose their damn mind if we got Kenny Omega and AJ Styles at WrestleMania one year?
I think that's such a small percentage of the audience. I don't think it matters.
But it matters. That percent matters.
I don't think that percent. I think if that percent was such a big deal, I think New Japan would be a big deal in America. I think AEW would be more successful. I
think what you're missing, Myron, is what we're talking about here. Catering to everybody and dragging that. That match. It's not. Look, I'm not even saying it's for a title or anything. If you had those two. By the way, this is the ultimate conundrum. Does then Meltzer have to give a 5-star match at WrestleMania because it's Kenny and AJ? He's, and it's gonna, are they gonna rein him in? By the way, for Kenny's sake, I hope AJ could get in there and go okay, I understand. On a night in, night out basis, you like to go out there and do your thing, but rein it back. But at Mania, we will. But
Okay,
for
yeah.
for week after week on TV, no, you ain't got to do that, money. You ain't got to do that. I think there's money there. I could be wrong. I think there's money there with Kenny and that whole puzzle that you have months, maybe a couple years worth of booking that you can, and storylines you could tell.
There's so many people you'd have to introduce to Kenny Omega.
Byron, if he jumps AJ Styles on his first night in that building, boom.
Okay, well,
he's
where does the
instant
Bullet Club? Okay.
I'm just saying. So
I saw how quick Doc Gallows went heel when he jumped you that time.
Yeah.
So maybe I'll believe it.
Myron, sometimes it's just having the right baby face or heel, by the way.
Yeah.
Maybe he saves AJ. Because AJ, remember, they were all tangled up in the Judgment Day story when AJ got hurt. They can come back.
I'll give you something. I have been tainted by some things.
Sorry.
Tony Khan's horrible booking has ruined a lot of these guys for me. I'm just going to go ahead and say it. I think maybe they can do more. Ring of Honor was such a small niche stuff that I never got into it. And Japan wasn't booked for me. So maybe there's something there for me later. Maybe there's something they can do with them. Am I willing to step out? I might need to go to talk about it in therapy. That might be something I need to talk to my therapist about. But I'm willing to try it if you're for it. That's the new Myron. The new Myron is like, okay, if Nick is for it, I'll try it, but we'll see.
Well, it's not even that I'm for it, Myron.
I'm Cult of Cornette, but I will back off for this one thing. I will let Twinkle Toes McFinger bang into the WWE.
I think there's money there. Let us know what you think. tappedoutpod@gmail.com. Kenny have a home, and what would you do with him if you brought him in? I think there's money there. But let's close it up with the topic at hand. Elimination Chamber. We've put it off. It keeps getting bumped back with all the stuff we were talking about in between. But I'll let you start.
Two chamber matches. Of the two, I thought the women's was better.
Yep.
I think Logan Paul saved the men's. Logan Paul also set up Seth Rollins for WrestleMania, and they're going to give us something that's going to get huge amount of press outside the wrestling world. Wrestling fans give up on bashing Logan Paul and bringing in people from the outside world. It's part of wrestling now. It draws eyes, and it makes them a ton of money. The vanity booking. Look at Sami Zayn and Johnny Knoxville. Draws eyes. It got Sami over even though he had the job to Johnny Knoxville. Just let it happen, folks. You're going to have, it's a gimmick match. Let it happen. It helps wrestling, and it makes a lot of money for them. And honestly, Logan Paul's a hell of a wrestler. He's a hell of an athlete. Has he disappointed? Has Logan Paul disappointed anyway? Can anyone? I'm not. Anyone come up and tell me at a show? Anyone can message me? Has Logan Paul disappointed as an athlete in any of these matches?
On top of that, by the way, kudos for them for reading between the lines that the fans were starting to backlash, and they flipped him. Seth's baby now. He's heel. And he'll embrace it. You saw him embracing it. And
oh yeah.
So kudos to them for that.
YouTube guy.
And by the way, you don't think that they're gonna promote the shit out of this on Impulsive, his podcast? It only gets like 20 something million, whatever.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Okay. This is why wrestling fans hate this. Because it's when wrestling crosses over involuntarily into mainstream culture. And we said this last night. When Patrick Mahomes had on that belt, did people have to ask what kind of belt that was, Nick?
No.
You know why?
Branding. brand. Look, and by the way, I stole some of this from Conrad and Jeff, the podcast, My World, and it was addressed tremendously well. Belt people hate those belts, those titles. They're like, they're they're generic, they're so bland, blah, blah, blah. However, when Patrick Mahomes throws it over his shoulder, has it around his waist, everybody goes, that's a WWE belt. It's a WWE
When he wore it in the parade,
it's a WWE belt. Yeah.
Is it more recognizable than the Lombardi Trophy?
No, too many people watch football.
I don't
know. No. Football's too big. I wouldn't go.
But wrestling shows that trophy nonstop. They don't show the Lombardi Trophy all the time. Every time you turn a wrestling, you see that belt.
The Lombardi Trophy's in the Super Bowl logos now. I just think because look, 248. I mean, some stupid numbers. Watch the Super Bowls lots of time. I can't go that far. But
boxing's belts, wrestling's belts, combat sports belts. That belt has the WWE logo in the center of it. It sells. Wrestling has become bigger than wrestling, if that makes any sense. The WWE is not just wrestling. The WWE is a brand.
Yeah.
And that's why people like Logan Paul come in.
Sure.
It helps them. Even if people don't watch, it still helps Logan Paul, and Logan Paul helps the WWE.
Oh, yeah. Great stuff, man.
Does Entertainment Tonight, is that still on television? God,
I don't watch
where's Mary
television.
Hart? Lisa Gibbons and Mary Hart were so hot when I was a kid.
Jeez. But look, now let's leap forward to the Brock and Bobby was Lashley was. I don't know if I think
I fast forwarded through that one because I was up to 3 o'clock watching.
Yeah.
Because I had to go through that delay for that press conference.
Sure. Lots of piece, lots of stuff. But look, all we know, we always talk about how shows sometimes are 1 match cards or 2 match cards, etc. Look, I felt that way about this show going into it. Regardless, by the way, I thought all the matches were tremendous. I know you weren't a big fan of the men's. I was more of a fan of the men's chamber match for the U.S. title.
It was okay, but it seemed like they've done that one before until Logan
Paul
came
year.
out. Well, no, the exact match. I love the way Asuka and
Natalya,
Natty pinned Liv at the same time. That was cool. And then when they put that submission hold, Asuka and Natty put Liv in the submission hold at the same time. That's how they got. God, it was just the women's match was brutal. And seeing this new Asuka cut, like they're more Asuka Japan because she had become Asuka cartoon, and now she's going back to that evil Asuka they got from Japan. That's like, hurts people. That character's awesome. The women were brutal. I like Raquel. I hope they don't make her get breast implants. I'm just going to go ahead and just throw that out there.
I don't think they make anybody. I think
I think they pressure some people. I don't hope Triple H doesn't do that.
I got a feeling that's not going to happen. But
I forgot how much I loved Elimination Chamber.
Mm-hmm. So
I really forgot how much I love that pay-per-view.
Do you know why we talk again? By the way, you're learning a lot about our conversations in the car if you're listening and watching when we're driving to shows. We've made a concerted effort to I had completely left wrestling news sites on social media, just getting rid of them. I was like, I don't want to get into I'm trying to be as spoiler free for Mania as I can. It's not completely impossible because people that we follow, that we're friends with, share stuff and it pops up and all that kind of stuff. So it is what it is. But overall, it's been a really entertaining ride, and I think and that's why even for AEW, I'm into it more than probably most. Impact's kind of the same thing, but I was all in by the time we got to the main event, man. Because I honestly thought, could Sami win? Realistically, no, probably not.
I rewatched the Cody promo.
Yeah.
Oh, God.
Good job. Good job. But, Myron.
Oh, God.
Sami got, apparently in the press conference, he said a 5-minute, 22-second ovation. While I was getting goosebumps watching it, and I thought to myself,
I can't last that long in bed.
If Blue Chew ad insert. When wrestling is done, well. Conrad says it all the time. When wrestling is done right, is there anything better? And I don't think there is.
I don't.
It's
emotional.
It pulls every. I mean, Sami's family's there. The fans want it more than anything. You know, and you start believing. And you know, he goes through the match, and all of a sudden, dude, he's toe to toe. He's hanging. Like, holy shit, he's hanging with Roman. Boom, boom. You know, he's kicking out of this. He's kicking out of that. He kicked out of a spear. He kicked out, you know, on and on and on, right? And listen, you know, we give the, you brought up the argument, Myron. All the outside interference and everything. He pinned Roman.
Yeah.
By the way,
2 or 3 referees?
It took 2 referee bumps. There's no referee in there. That's what I was winking if you're listening to the audio. He pinned Roman. Of course, more interference. Things happen. He doesn't get the win. And Tommy Dreamer, Busted Open, kind of, you know, brought up the whole, like, you know, even in a loss, but you said, what about Sami Zayn? What did they do for Sami Zayn in that loss?
He's still over.
They made him.
He still got over. They made him. He's more than he was. He was a effing. Now, remember, before he signed with WWE, he wore a mask and was called El Generico. He's been a sidekick. He's been a joke.
He was Kevin Owens' friend.
A little buddy. Now, all of a sudden, he's toe-to-toe with Roman Reigns. And you saw, I said, Roman Reigns emotes so well because Roman Reigns was just emoting. And you could see it. And then you realize Sami Zayn is an emote. Okay? Sami, you saw everything. Sami Zayn, if that was acting, that was an Oscar performance. There are actors that can't do that. What Sami Zayn did.
Jimmy, Jay, Roman, Sami, all sucked us into this story. They're Emmy Award winners because they're on TV. They're going to get Emmys, not Oscars, right? So they're going to get Emmys. But they took us on a ride, and when we came out, we still get Roman and Cody. But the next time, this was Tommy Dreamer's point, but the next time we get Sami versus Roman, if you get it, I'm saying hypothetically, we went from a match where what did I just tell you? Did we think Sami was going to win? No, probably not. But, I mean, maybe, you know, like stranger things have happened to now. No. To now, if they wrestle again, you're like, I think he can. He had his number at Chamber. He can beat him. And the people want it even more because now we know he can. It is possible.
WrestleMania's 2 nights, remember? Roman has 2 belts, remember? Mm-hmm. The story's not over. That's the thing. It didn't end last night. You still got Jay. You've got Jimmy. Where was Solo? You've got Paul. Yep. You've got Kevin. I'm as excited for SmackDown on Friday night as I was for Elimination Chamber.
Yeah.
Okay? I'm excited for Raw tomorrow or Monday night. I can't wait. Folks, I am hooked on WWE wrestling like I was when I was a kid, prowling the video stores, trying to get. This is when I would go in the stores for VHS, and I would go to the WWE rack before I would go look at the titty movie films.
When you snuck through the little braided curtain thing?
We didn't even have that. That was how bad it was back home. They didn't even have that kind of movies. They just had, like
the teeny bopper movies, the like Spring Breaks and those kind of things.
No, it would be like some woman surviving in the wilderness with her boobs out occasionally. But I would go to WWE first because I was all hooked up. And I'm at that now. I mean,
it's an exciting time to be a fan.
That's God. I'm bad at references today.
Let's turn. Well, let's.
I lost them. I ruined all my references on that McDonald's thing.
You did.
Yeah. I shot my reference wide.
There you go. And yeah, man, I just think it's a great time to be a fan. I think AEW is better than you're getting credit for. I'm just Impact's really good. The only
Wow, that's one thing I want to watch.
And they're hitting some really good
Nigel,
numbers,
man.
by the way. Yeah, shout out to Nigel. Yeah, man, it's
Dude,
really
I'm telling
good.
you. He does not get enough credit for all he's done for wrestling in Georgia and the rest of the country.
Everywhere, yeah, just in general, the wrestling business in general. But man, look, what else have we got to cover, man? I mean, a whole lot of stuff. I mean, going down over the past
this is what I need from you people.
Homework.
We've got a month with no shows on our calendar to go to. I need some help. Can people suggest shows? Send me some stuff.
Yeah.
Let me know what's going on. I don't know.
I'm gonna need Rob Rod to be more aggressive and get those out faster and get them to us.
Yes, Rob Rod, please do that. Get us some shows to go to. Anybody send me your show. Send me your favorite show. Do something. Send us something to go to. We got to work on some of that.
Yeah.
SCI's coming up, isn't it?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, it's coming up.
We got Atlanta Comic-Con next weekend if we decide we're going to go.
Probably.
We'll figure. Yeah, just let me know on that. We'll figure that out.
Yeah.
Okay, folks.
Look, man, more stuff. We appreciate everybody listening. Like I said, we hit that milestone right over there on our YouTube channel. Couldn't have done it without you guys. YouTube.com. Just search Tapped Out Wrestling Podcast. Our handle, as they call it over there on YouTube, is @TappedOutPod, of course. But listen, if you're an audio listener, obviously we're on Spotify, iHeartMedia, Apple Podcast, Amazon Music, on and on and on. Anywhere and everywhere there's a podcast, like Google Podcasts. We're there. But I think you're missing out sometimes because you kind of miss some of the facial expressions, the responses.
The emotes.
That we emote on the show sometimes, and I think you missed that. But I understand.
And I got my teeth fixed, so at least
Myron's purdy now. So
I got my teeth fixed, and I got to get this fuzz off my face.
Yeah, that Myron's got a face for radio, but we're still showing it off on YouTube.
I got a face for hieroglyphics. Not even print.
Wow. On that note, Myron, you got anything else before we get out of here, man?
No, man, I'm at a point now. This is some of my best time as a wrestling fan.
You know why? I know we say the road to WrestleMania starts at the Rumble, but Chamber's behind us. We literally, thank God, Fastlane is gone, but we are literally now in the express lane, fast lane to WrestleMania. It's one of our favorite times of the year.
Wait.
So,
God, I can't wait.
Well, man, all that being said, what's the old saying, brother? If I've got nothing and you've got nothing, what time is it?
It's time to tap out.